Shocking wrecks, satisfying instant justice, daredevil deer, and the cart demon strikes again. Or does he? Allison was on her way home from work when the driver of an SUV leaving a parking lot headed right across the road in front of her, ignoring a stop sign without even slowing down. Allison hit her brakes a split second before the impact, but by then it was too late. The collision spun her Mazda 6 completely around before her phone automatically called 911. First responders arrived 5 minutes later. When police began investigating, they were confused about what had happened because Allison's car was facing the wrong way. Allison said they thought she was the driver at fault. The other driver went along with this misunderstanding, claiming Allison had run the stop sign and caused the collision. Allison told them she had a dash cam, and after watching the footage, they cited the other driver. Incredibly, nobody was severely injured in this collision, but sadly, Allison's Mazda was totaled. The other driver's insurance company paid her $8,000 for it, enough for a down payment on a new Subaru Outback. She did get taken to a hospital and spent 4 hours in the emergency room before it was determined she wasn't seriously hurt. But that alone turned into $50,000 in medical bills. The insurance company will be paying them too. Allison told us she's subscribed to Wham Bam Dashcam, Tesla Cam, and Security Cam. Thanks, Allison. We're glad you're okay. Jake watched a 3-vehicle collision occur in an intersection right in front of him. When the driver of a black SUV turned across oncoming traffic, they were T-boned by a Chrysler before that car was rear-ended by a gray hatchback. Jake immediately called 911 and reported the collision. Paramedics and firefighters responded to the scene of the collision, but thankfully nobody was seriously injured. See this huge line of stopped traffic? Along with Gianna, these drivers are waiting patiently for a raised bridge to be lowered back down. But the driver of a Mazda SUV didn't feel like waiting in line like everyone else. A police officer watched the Mazda driver forget what they learned in kindergarten about waiting for their turn, and he promptly lit up the party lights and dished up some instant justice. When the line began moving, Gianna told us the SUV driver was forced to wait until every last car made it through before they were allowed to continue, including cars they would have been in front of had they not tried to cut. Chrissy was on her way home from buying groceries when she watched a pickup truck cruise through a stale red light and smash into a Jeep. Chrissy clarified that the pickup driver had a green right turn arrow at the time, indicating he could turn right without stopping. And perhaps he'd mistaken that for a normal green light and thought he could go straight. Regardless, the pickup driver blamed the Jeep driver for the collision. When police arrived, Chrissy showed officers her dashcam footage, and she said the pickup driver turned pale as a ghost. She also said he accepted his citations with his tail between his legs. Thankfully, nobody was seriously hurt, but the Jeep driver told Chrissy later that his Jeep was totaled by the pickup driver's insurance provider. He also said they instantly accepted liability once they'd seen Chrissy's dashcam footage, and the settlement they offered him will be used to buy a new car. If you need a dashcam, check out our recommendations in the description. Wicked Joker heard a siren and noticed flashing lights before pulling over to give extra room to a passing ambulance. Exactly as every driver should. Well, not every driver present thought the law applied to them. The driver of a GMC pickup took the opportunity to pass Wicked Joker while she was pulled over. But by then, she'd already started getting back up to speed, and his reckless pass nearly resulted in a sideswipe collision. She honked at him while slowing down to avoid getting clipped, but the GMC driver just continued, apparently oblivious to the fact that they'd nearly caused a collision. Thankfully, no contact occurred. Danny Liz was waiting to make an unprotected left turn, meaning she had a flashing yellow arrow. She and the drivers ahead of her were waiting for an opening in oncoming traffic, but watch what happened when the light went solid. The two Jeep drivers ahead of Danny Liz sped through the light as it turned red, but so did the driver of an oncoming UPS truck, who swerved to avoid hitting the trailing Jeep. She said the UPS driver looked as shocked as she was. Danny Liz told us this happened just a few days after installing her first dashcam, and she was amazed to already have footage to send to Wham Bam. If you've got a dashcam video to share, the submission link is in the description below. Ainsley was on her way home after a day of shopping with her mother when she merged into the exit lane in preparation for her upcoming exit. Another driver flying up behind her went for the same exit way too late. After swerving hard to make the exit, the other driver ricocheted between the guardrails before coming to a stop. Thankfully, no other vehicles were involved in the collision. Ainsley's fiancé James is a former firefighter and EMT, and he was following a few vehicles behind her when this happened. He pulled over to help, but thankfully the driver wasn't seriously injured. Therese watched an overconfident pickup driver publicly demonstrate his lack of driving skill when he tried to accelerate through a turn on a wet road. Well, that's certainly one way to show the world you have no idea how to drive. Thankfully, nobody was hurt by the spinning pickup's failed turn, not even the inept pickup driver. Aiden encountered a driver no better than the last one. He was on his way to work after the majority of the snow from a recent snowstorm had finally been cleared off the roads. The driver of a car was going too fast when he turned toward Aiden, causing his car to slide into his Hyundai Sonata. He told us he knew the Lincoln Town Car was going too fast for the turn, but there was nothing he could do. The driver of the town car had to call his parents to get his insurance information. But thankfully, Aiden said he was very helpful, even helping him start his insurance claim. Unsurprisingly, he was found responsible for the collision. Thanks to the extensive suspension damage, Aiden's Hyundai was totaled after the repair bill climbed to over $3,800. He used the settlement to get a Mazda 6, and he immediately equipped it with a dashcam we recommend. Cambry and her sister Addison were on their way to dinner when she suddenly spotted a deer on the side of the unlit road with a 65-mile-per-hour speed limit. While Cambry's attempt to miss the deer was successful, her overcorrection sent her Acura RDX spinning out of control and off the road. Incredibly, their seatbelts protected them both from being injured. Cambry limped her Acura to a gas station a mile away where they both checked the car for any damage. Amazingly, there was no obvious damage visible. Cambry wanted to shout out her sister for staying calm after the spin out. Billy was leaving a gas station on his way to work. When an SUV driver's view was blocked by their A-pillar, they cut the corner on a left turn before running into Billy's Toyota Corolla head-on. After the collision, a passing police officer noticed the wreckage and stopped to help. Billy told us the SUV had to be towed away, but thankfully his Corolla remained drivable. He's still waiting to see how much repairs will cost. He also wanted to shout out his brother Braden, who took all these great photos while Billy was talking to the driver of the SUV. Thanks so much, Braden. We love it whenever submitters include photos with their footage. This submitter watched an oncoming Tesla driver make an extremely unsafe overtake of a garbage truck, earning them the title of Tesla behaving badly when they nearly hit a van head-on.
That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive.
Thankfully, the reckless Tesla driver didn't collide with the van, but our submitter told us he sent a copy of his footage to the HVAC company who owns the van anyway, in case the driver wanted it. Emily was sideswiped by an SUV driver who drove straight from a turn lane. Gee, if only the road had clear arrow markings before the intersection to indicate that the SUV should have turned left. Oh, it did? Well, if only it had another set farther back. Oh, it had that too? Well, road markings can be hard to see sometimes. Maybe a sign clearly stating left lane must turn left would have helped. Oh, never mind. Well, I guess the SUV driver had no excuse for continuing straight instead of turning. Emily told us she didn't realize that contact had been made until later when she found her bumper cover unclipped. The SUV driver never stopped either, but thankfully this hit and run didn't result in any permanent damage. Tyler's grandfather was heading straight through an intersection with a green light when the driver of a school bus suddenly made an unprotected left turn across his path. Amazingly, Tyler's grandfather was able to slam on the brakes and slow down enough to avoid T-boning the bus full of school children. He then drove straight to a police station to report the incident. When he showed officers his dashcam footage, they told him that there was nothing they could do since there hadn't been a collision. Do some innocent children need to get hurt before that bus driver is held accountable? We left the date and time on this submission, just in case someone at First Student in Plainfield, Illinois wants to look into this incident. Their X account is at First Student Inc., by the way. Feel free to send them a link to this video. This submitter was driving in a German city when he encountered a driver who only had time to scrape 2 lines of ice off his windshield before quickly discovering this was not enough to see where he was going. Our submitter honked to warn the other driver, but it didn't help. After the van collided with our submitter's BMW, the other driver claimed he was a very experienced driver. Fixing his BMW cost about $10,000 US, which the other driver's insurance covered. Our submitter told us he's been watching our channels for years. If you're a fan, consider subscribing to join the 500,000 subs club. This submitter told us she'd been patiently waiting for another driver to leave their spot in a parking garage. Turn signal active to show other drivers her intention. An impatient Prius driver went around her, then shifted into reverse. When the other driver finally left, the Prius driver started to back up as our submitter turned into the space. Our submitter thinks the Prius driver was trying to back into the spot and steal it out from under her. She told us that he was still there, gesturing and trying to talk to her as she walked away, but she ignored him. It's definitely a strange situation, but what do you think? Was the Prius driver trying to steal our submitter's spot, or was something else going on? Post your theory in the comments. Haley sent us another example of why you should never let a friend drive your car. She said her friend wanted to test the sport mode of her Toyota Corolla, but watch what happened less than a minute after he'd started driving. In addition to scrapes on the underside, the car had several warning lights appear on the dashboard, which is never a good sign. We hope she gets her car checked out by a mechanic, as this could indicate serious damage. Thankfully, nobody was injured and no other vehicles were involved in the incident. Haley told us she has learned her lesson and she's grateful the situation wasn't any worse. Emily was driving down a highway when traffic suddenly screeched to a halt as a driver ahead stopped to make an illegal U-turn. Incredibly, all the drivers behind the illegal U-turner managed to avoid colliding with each other, and Emily was assisted by her Toyota Corolla's automatic emergency braking. Even so, she was shaken as she continued. This submitter was driving down a snowy New York highway when he was passed by a Chevy Sonic in the passing lane. Seconds later, they found out too late that they were driving too fast for the slick road conditions. Our submitter told us he didn't want to become involved in a pileup, and since a white SUV was already stopping to help, he continued. He told us the airbags didn't deploy, so it's unlikely that anyone was injured. Kimber spotted a cart demon attack after another shopper abandoned their shopping cart in a parking lot. Watch the cart closely because you won't believe what happened next. Amazingly, a good Samaritan became the hero we needed and put his own body in the path of the shopping cart to stop the violent attack. Okay, he just grabbed it with his hand, but he's still a hero for returning it to the corral. By the way, Cliff wasn't there when this happened, and Kimber had suffered a leg injury and wasn't able to intervene herself. Real fans will recognize Cliff and Kimber's names from previous episodes. We helped Cliff propose to Kimber in an episode of Wham Bam Security Cam, and 2 episodes later, we showed you her reaction. If you haven't seen them, go watch both of those episodes to find out what happened. I mean, they're still together, so that's a bit of a spoiler, but still, her reaction was great. Don't forget to subscribe to that channel too, and we'll see you again next week.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon, man. Please support the show.